Tuna wageni watatu, Mheshimiwa Sebastian Kapufi mbunge, ambao ni wadau wa maendeleo kutoka Marekani. Wadau wa maendeleo kutoka Marekani, karibuni sana.
Shalom, Salama, Siemi, Shalom. Greetings to all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world. Whether you're of the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel, or you're a Gentile grafted in to the house under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach, I'll welcome you this morning. Family, we are doing day 4 of this year in review. And let me tell you, this year has been one of the, at least in the awakening, one of the most dynamic years that we've ever faced as a people in this. The Most High has really been shining the spotlight on a lot of things. And that spotlight continues to shine even this very day and this very hour. I was reading something interesting. You know, a lot of folks, they try to say, you know, this stuff doesn't matter, it doesn't do this, it doesn't do that, right? They always try to frame their narrative because you have to understand when they see bad news, they have to reframe the bad news. That's classic witchcraft, right? It's not that bad. Look at the brighter side of things. Think about, if you dwell in the past, if you dwell in your current circumstances, if you dwell. Well, we get that. However, where we are at is something that we have done, which was a choice that was made to bring us to that place. And we now have to look at how the Most High needs us to be able to properly respond. Because if we don't respond properly, and that response always has to be given by way of a rebuke. That rebuke is usually done First spiritually, then physically. Once we get rebuked, then we repent physically and spiritually. First spiritually, then we do it physically. And then you repair spiritually and then physically. You have to have an order, and this is what the word clearly lays out. This is what Yahushua was showing people. Forgive us this day this trespasses as we forgive others, because we forgive those that trespass against us. Well, there has been trespasses, and those trespasses, if you don't understand how those things start to lead into the snowball effect, then you don't realize where it can lead you to as a nation. See, we've gone through this year in review, and we've seen all of the causal symptoms. Because why? Simply put, we see that this year in review was really the direct cause of 2021 and 2022's actions. And we had been saying this for a while. If you don't want to give us reparations, you will pay. That's biblical. If you don't want to repair and restore, you will pay. And then they wanted to, lock us on down. They wanted to strip us of, oh, well, this is that and that is this, right? Give us all these labels, which was to make them feel good. They wanted to do that to make themselves feel good. And we kept saying, I don't care what you do, it doesn't matter. They could do as much as they want to us. It's not going to stop judgment. And then that judgment happened in a country in the Eastern Mediterranean, so far away from here. And guess what it did? It created the rift that they couldn't get away from. It created a literal rift that they couldn't understand. And now, do you understand their seat of power, which is money, which is monetary policy, which is a national security policy, is being challenged? Bloomberg, she touts alternative to Western capital in speech on Mao. This is Tuesday, December 26th. This was yesterday. Chinese President Xi used the speech remembering Mao Zedong, which yesterday I guess will be there today. Yeah. You know how it goes. The time difference. Their today is yesterday, but blah, blah, blah. Chinese President Xi Jinping used a speech remembering Mao Zedong to push a framework the current leader rolled out recently to counter the West capital model. The central task of the nation and its ruling Communist Party is to build China to a stronger economy and rejuvenate the Chinese nation on all fronts by pursuing Chinese modernization. Chinese modernization. We can read all this, we can read all that. Do you understand? Modernization usually happens after some event occurs, and that event is usually precipitated by, you guessed it, war. Why did he give that speech? Because he's priming the people for war. You got to roll over the old kingdom and bring in the new so you can, you know, not have the roadblocks and obstacles. How are they doing that, you may ask? Well, let's take a look. This still kind of precipitates the oil tanker from leave the world behind and, predictive programming at its finest. But I want you to take a look at this. This is from oilprice.com. I'm leaving all the receipts. Oilprice.com. I don't know. By Tom Cool. Tom majored in international business at Amsterdam's Higher School of Economics. Okay. Well, Russia, Iran officially ditch U.S. dollar for trade. This is by Tom Cool, December 27th. All right, so I have my dates wrong. That just shows you how tired I am. Today is Thursday, isn't it? Yes, it is. All right, man, oh man. So you had the speech then on the 26th, because I want us to get into a chronological order of things. Because if you didn't understand, don't it was hard for Americans in the West to fathom that in 2021, China and Russia were officially working together. It was hard for them to fathom that. And we're like, they're working together. We saw them working together in 2020. We pointed that out in 2021. We further illustrated that in 2022 when Putin went over to Beijing. And then what ended up happening earlier this year? Beijing, Xi went over to Russia, to Moscow. And we said there's going to be another front. That front starts with economics. Let's go here. Russia and Iran have finalized an agreement to trade in their local currencies instead of the US dollar, Iran state media has reported. Both countries are subjected to US sanctions. Banks and economic actors can now use infrastructure, including non SWIFT interbank systems, to deal in local economies, or excuse me, in local currencies. Iran state media has declared. What is that telling the rest of the world? They're no longer using the dollar. You can read all that. I'm not going to read all that. They have U.S. sanctions, but they don't want to tell you that their economies are doing fantastic, especially Russia's. I want to read this. This is pretty interesting. Earlier in the current year, Russia paid dividends from Sakhalin 1 and 2 oil projects in Chinese yuan instead of the dollar. If you didn't understand the war that's happening, I posted that article. We tend to think that warfare starts with bullets and rockets and explosions and all that other stuff. No, actually, warfare starts on the economic front, always has. Warfare starts when the country is weakened down and degraded to a point where political leaders are deemed unworthy, untrustworthy, and you can tell that in their actions by trying to quote unquote remove folks from the ballot. That is a very big imaging problem. That's an image problem. Wait, America's supposed to be this, it's supposed to be that, it's supposed to be fair, it's supposed to be all these things, right? That's the label. But how come they're acting just like a dictatorship? I'm just saying. How come, you can't say certain words or keywords, and then they have their corporate, non-corporate, public, non-public, private, who knows what they want to call it nowadays? Kind of seems like communism to me. I'm just saying, would this had really taken place in the 1980s, when you're looking at, RoboCop and OCP, and now this is what we've turned into. Funny how art imitates reality, or reality that's there pro- programming imitates art. Interesting how all this occurs. Interesting at seeing all these dynamics. And this isn't to scare anyone. It's not to scare, it's to inform, because now we're starting to see how 2024 is shaping up. You want to know how 2024 is shaping up? Now you see it. Because why? Because the more that this shapes up on the outside, the more you're going to have to see things in the inside. And you see the inside fighting the outside. Let me share this article with you all. Fair use, fair use. The spokesman review Spokane, Washington. We are not equipped to deal with this. Migrant surge overwhelms U.S. border. A migrant encampment near Sasabe, Arizona, at a remote spot in the Arizona desert near a hole in the border wall. Dozens of migrants huddled over wood fires. After fleeing war in Sudan, violent gangs in Central America, or Mexican cartels, the men had all crossed into the United States illegally, walked on foot over rugged terrain for hours, and arrived at this outpost exhausted, hungry, and cold. They wanted to turn themselves into the authorities to ask for asylum, but were stranded here, miles from the closest town, Sasabe. You have that article in there. They don't want to tell you the staggering economic toll that that's placing on this nation. They don't want to tell you that. Instead, they want to deflect and, ensure that what you all are seeing is, somewhere else. You're looking at stocks hitting another record high. Here it is. I mean, you can't make this on up, because we're seeing it and we're showing. And I don't want anybody here to say, nobody ever told me, that was never said. This was, you know how the excuses are. We're witnesses. Market Watch, this journal or this journal, this this article was published by William Watts and Isabel Wang, December 27th, yesterday. S&P edges nearer to all-time high finish. Dow Jones posts record close as stocks end mostly higher. The Dow Jones Industrial Average ended slightly higher Wednesday, notching an all-time high finish, while the S&P edged near record territory as investors attempted to continue a year-end rally fueled by expectations that the U.S. interest rates will fall in 2024. And honestly, I believe that they will fall in 2024. They don't realize why that is going to fall. They don't realize the indicators of why things will fall in 2024. When you're trying to save your kingdom, guess what? Everything goes to zero. It's a last ditch effort. Because why? Because they're cooking the markets up for the drop. And you see the drop happening. We're showing you why the drop is happening. And that's going to be a very devastating drop. What does that mean? Well, that means that the price of goods will go up everywhere. But before it does, you'll see that the so I see this happening. So I see this happening. So they don't have massive riots in the streets as inputs start to dry up, which would be your imported materials. And I think they said like a staggering number. It's like 60% of what we have. It's like 60 to 70% of what we have comes from China. Staggering number. It's a staggering number. I just give you these reports because they're at my fingertips. These come from scholarly reviewed journals that I read. Scholarly peer-reviewed journals. And we're talking about recently, like 2021, 2022. I could give you the literature reviews because that's what I work on. That's part of my coursework. And I see it and I'm like, dang. I look at this and I'm like, they literally set themselves up to fail. When you're reading these journals, when you're reading these publications, these articles, it is so it's not funny, it's actually disheartening. It's like they were allowed to get away with this. I'm like, this is criminal. They were allowed to do this. If we had even the umption to do any of that, we would literally go to jail based on economic terrorism. But that's what they have been allowed to do. And you cannot tell me that there's no double standard in the United States. There absolutely is. And that double standard crushed them. Woe to a nation. Woe to a nation that allows for unjust laws. This is in Proverbs. Habakkuk 2 and 12, excuse me, 2 and 20 states, look, woe, cursed is a nation, or woe to a nation that establishes itself on bloodshed. You just had that for Thanksgiving. They established themselves with the killing of people. Now you're seeing that thing take place and take shape in the Middle East, in the Eastern Mediterranean, that little sliver of land. And now all the chickens are coming home to roost. All of them. And we're saying, look, nobody here wants to see destruction. I don't pray for destruction. I really don't. But I understand it's coming, and I understand what it's going to look like, and I understand how it's going to have people. You realize that the VA has to deal with one of the highest self deletion rates in, I think, ever. Ever. Because now people could see what they were involved in, the carnage that they had been involved in. So you can hold yourself not guilty all you want to. That's right, Mr. G. But let me tell you, spiritually, that thing is now gnawing at them and they can't understand it. Because it's simple. They don't want to repent. They're getting a spiritual rebuke. You understand, when we talk, they don't, it's not the fact that we're talking, it's the fact that they know that their spirit is getting rebuked and they don't like that rebuke. You want to know why they want us to shut up? Because our words are so powerful that that thing splits their sinew. Well, just be quiet. Be quiet about what? The truth? Maybe the truth will set you free. Maybe this truth will save you. Because maybe, just maybe, you won't choose your way that is natural to yourself. Maybe you'll go against your character, and maybe, just maybe, you will be saved. But that's a choice between you and the Most High. Because all I know is that when those bombs start dropping, I'll pray for y'all, but I'm running. Come and save me. Hey, I'm praying for you. Can you help me? Hey, I'm praying for you. Can you take me with you? I'm praying for you. Because when the word says to flee, oh, we gonna flee. I'm gonna take the word seriously. Because you know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be in everyone's spirit, like, yeah, that was the voice of the Most High. When I think of 1619 in that frequency, I'm like, yeah, I said that's gonna be the Most High pouring out his spirit. It's gonna hit us. It's gonna be like, who talked? Did anybody hear that talk? Who heard that voice? Everybody's gonna be on Facebook. Did anybody just hear that audible voice? It's gonna be trending on Twitter. They'll say black people just had a mass hysteria event. You know, they'll always try to demean it and everything else. But when they see black folks leaving, guess what? Black folks tend to leave when they see other black folks leaving. And all we got to say is this: stick around if you want to. Need I remind you of Greenwood, Black Wall Street, and Rosewood, and Durham, and other places? Stick around if you want to. I'd rather leave just for a little bit and come back when the coast is clear. But I heard that voice saying leave, and I wasn't the only one that heard it. You could call it an alien, you could call it an extraterrestrial, you can call it Christmas. But my behind is calling it the Most High, and that was the Ruach HaKodesh. So I'm bouncing. Call me crazy, call me whatever. But you ain't gonna call me a fool when you start seeing them things get lit up. And you know that's how our people will respond. You know that's how our people will react. We'll hear that audible voice. Yeah, it's time to bounce. You heard it too, right? We'll be looking at each other. You heard that too, right? Yeah, we need to go. All we'll be saying is, how much do we have left on this credit card just to get us out of here? We'll figure it all out when we get on the continent. I guarantee you. You just can't up and leave your home like that. Did you hear that voice too? Yeah, I heard it, but. I'm just saying that's one of the possible scenarios. Brother Mike.
Shalom, brother. How you doing?
Shalom. Let's hear your biblical exegesis of when we hear with that 1619 frequency. I believe that that's going to be the Ruach talking to us, and we'll hear something very, very audible. You know, you can't mistake.
I do believe that. I do believe we're going to hear some. I seriously believe we're going to hear Yah's voice. I do. That's just me. And I think that's when the nation's going to look at, wait a minute, can he talk to his people? And I think it's going to be a fear that's going to encompass the whole world. And I'm thinking that, hey, all right, these are his people. And they may get scared and say, hey, we give them anything and everything they want. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be like maxing out a credit card to get there. Now I think a lot of the stuff we go be given. We're going to be given.
Well, that's Mike. I'm gonna tell you that may be an interpretation, but the
Yeah.
scriptures clearly said that look, in these times of our awakening, they're going into spiritual blindness. They're gonna have ears but cannot hear. They're gonna have eyes but cannot see. And they're seeing it. We're seeing that demonstrated.
Mhm.
That is crazy to see it demonstrated. As I presented the articles here, you're having countries now getting rid of the dollar. And don't think that it's just going to be Russia and Iran. That's going to be Belarus. That's going to be the Central Asian states. Because why? Because they're now seeing that they are successful without the dollar. And that's what happens with military success. Man, I don't think our people understand this. This is a spiritual fight. And part of that spiritual fight is when mammon is getting destroyed, the confidence is being destroyed. It's not about the confidence of your might. It's literally the confidence of what the dollar holds. It's the confidence of what your money brings. And then when things can't be purchased and things can't be uh, bought anymore, things can't be brought over to the U.S. because the prices are too expensive. Nobody's going to want to say, nah, just add it to the tab. No, you got to pay for that tab. Your credit's no good anymore. My
Mm.
bank says you can't, and your credit don't get it.
Mm, mm, mm.
See what happens to the full faith
Mhm.
and credit of the United States when they're losing wars? Well, guess what? That credit starts to shrink up.
Mm, mm. Man, that's a pretty bad position to be in.
Mm-hmm.
A very bad. I mean, you're talking about crops, grains. I mean, whatever. Um, well, this country wanted to save money and went for cheaper labor in China, and they allowed China to buy what they wanted to buy in the United States. Some of the stuff that you think is an American company, no, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not. That is owned by China. And you know one thing, and just to go back to that movie, Leave the World Behind. I did not take notice of the map that was above the black family's bed in the basement. And you see
Mm-hmm.
how it was cut up in four sections, it was red and green.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and then they talking about, well, you got four countries. I mean, and it could be me, just my interpretation, as if it's going to be owned by four different countries. Because the way they have the United States cut up in four sections,
Mm.
and we have four countries that is really taking the lead of destroying that dollar first. They know what they need to do, and it's happening. It's happening.
So Mike, in your humblest opinion, who do you think the four carpenters are right now?
Me, I think it's one is Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran. That's who I
Yep.
think they are.
Yep.
That's who I think they are. And I mean, and they doing it. They it's like they took the lead. The only, I ain't gonna say the only one, but I would say like North Korea, they off in the cut, but he's there. You don't see too much about him. He's off in that cut. You see China, Russia, Iran are the three that's out there. They got him. They got him sitting back off in the cut. If anything go down, we need for you to step up, and that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing. And whew, you let y'all speak, man. Please, some people, man.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just like, nah. I mean, this is it don't look good for this country. And like when one of the Gentile says, there's no resurrection, there's no healing for this country, and they are speaking against it. They are speaking.
The question
I'm
is,
sorry, brother.
Whose fault is that? Is that our fault or theirs?
It's theirs. They I mean, well, we built the country up. I mean, the roads, the buildings, even we was the ones in the field. We built them up. We got them propped up to be a world power, to become a world power off of forced slavery. And we were the most, that time, humble, downtrodden, trying to maintain peace while they ravished us. And they built this country upon the backs of our brothers and sisters, our forefathers. Now it's time to pay back. That's where we are at. This is absolute payback. Now, however they want to take it, that's not my concern, because they're going to get it. They're going to get this. All the, man, do you know, if you go back and you look at it, and and now I see why they want to try to get rid of the history of this country. But no matter if they were successful at doing it, you're gonna have to get rid of Yah. He's the one who knows the history. He knows it. And now, you know, they're trying to change the history books, and they want to do things on a fleshly way. And it's not going to succeed, as we all know. It's not. And it's just like you were saying, how in the world are you walking yourself into a pit? This is what this country doing. Ooh, and it's something for these brothers and sisters to be waking up, and they voicing their opinion. They voicing, oh no, this is what's going to happen, and things of that nature. But this country will sell out its own. When I say its own, you can go and fight and pledge your allegiance to this country. I seen veterans sleeping on the street. How in the world you fought for a country and they got you on sleeping on the street? You got veterans living in a nursing home, and while they're in the nursing home, they coming up with these different types of sickness for drinking the water. And this is here in this country. It's a lot. The cup of this country has overflowed. It is off the top. It has overflowed. And you have brothers and sisters talking about it, preaching about it, as to, hey, we're at this point in time where our Heavenly Father is about to stand up and call and rain out judgment. rain out judgment. That's, I mean, it's a beauty. It is a beautiful thing. And I know it will be a beautiful thing to see all of us as one people leaving the United States. I seriously believe it will be televised.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious, bro. I seriously believe that it will be televised.
Yeah. I when people say, "Well, how are we going to get on out of here?" How are we go? Look, you don't have to worry about all that because the Most High is going to make provision.
Yeah.
He's going to make provision for all of his people.
Mm.
If you think that we're doing something, guess what? Trust and believe the Gentiles will be seeing that. They will be seeing that.
Yes.
Well, let me help you. Aren't you going to go? Well, let me help you. Oh, they'll
Mm.
be in the hood so quick. I got a bus for you. Let's go. Let me get your
Man.
bags. You don't need to worry about anything. We got a flight chartered for you. Huh?
Hey, and your Cole, he be going on live while he walking. I told you if I had a leeway, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go live. He be on his live walking at the same time, getting up out of here. No, your Cole
That
be
would
getting, he
be
be
that
getting up
would
out of
be
here.
a 24-hour, that would be a marathon on in there,
Mm. Quoting scriptures, quoting scriptures while he walk. I told you, get. Yeah, I said get out of Babylon. And the thing about it is, we seeing it now. We seeing it a lot clearer
Hmm.
of getting out of Babylon because now it's showing about these the entertainers and the religious leaders.
Woe to those shepherds, right? Woe
Ooh-wee.
to those shepherds.
Yeah.
Here come the woes. Listen, I truly, it's like, do you not understand that the Most High's word is his word and there is nothing going to stop it? You are either going to be on the righteous side or you're going to choose to be on the wicked. But why would you choose to be on the wicked? Because why?
Mm,
Because they're more concerned about the things of this world. Well, I want to have me a talk show, TD Jakes. I
mhm,
want to have me, this mega church. I want to have me this and that. And now the allegations are coming on out there. What profits a man
mhm.
to what? To gain the whole world and to lose his soul.
Forfeit
Come on,
his soul.
to lose, to forfeit. And that's what we've seen. We weren't trying to come against the Christian church because I don't like Christianity. No, we were saying, look, you're going to see this thing crumble because it's not the church of the Bible. It's not the congregation of the Bible. It's not the body of believers that this word says it will be. This is of something that's not biblical. And
Hmm.
now when you're seeing, well, I'm going to compromise and, maybe this isn't biblical, but maybe this is. No, there's no compromise with the Most High. You're either following his word or you're following sin. Plain and simple. The funny thing is, since that story broke, I haven't spoke to my mom. She has not called me. And
Right.
usually my mom will call. She'll call me for Christmas.
Hmm. Mm.
But I understand why she's not calling. Because you have to understand, think about it. It's an embarrassment.
Yeah. That's one thing it's going to be.
Because what can she say? What can she do? And I'm not gonna sit there to lick my chops and be like, "Oh, it's time to demean, to demonize, and humiliate and stuff like that." No, because here's the thing: everybody was under this deception. All of us at one point in time.
Mm. Yeah. That's true. That is
And
true.
Mr. G, oh, Mr. G, thank you. He was one of the persons who spoke against the awakening.
Who? TD Jakes.
Yes, he was.
What?
Yeah.
Well, I never followed him and things like that. I mean,
This
mm-mm.
was going on, I think it was like 2021, 2022. And remember, they're like, oh, he has Igbo roots and, and all this
Now,
other.
I remember that now.
Yeah. And then he wanted to quickly, demonize it. And now you know why.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah. Now, yeah. Now
Now
I
you
know
know
why.
why.
Mm, you know, I mean, and the thing about it is, it's our people that is on the forefront. It's our people that are the entertainers and the religious leaders. You don't find too many blacks. I'm at least what I'm seeing. I'm seeing more Gentiles speaking about the judgment of the United States. I don't see a lot of black preachers speaking about the judgment of the United States. When I'm talking about Christianity, black Christians. I don't see them speaking about against this country as for judgment, but I do see the white Gentiles speaking more so about this judgment for this place. It's like we enjoying some stuff that's not adding up. When y'all told us to get up out of here, I mean get up out of Babylon, he means get up out of it. Whether it's entertainment or false teachings, it's gonna be one or the other. It's I mean it, no, ain't one. It's both of them. Matter of fact, what I'm talking about, one or the other. You know,
Yeah,
but I
it's both.
mean, yeah, it's both. But this is what we entertain the world, and when we was not awake, we felt proud as a people. We entertained the world. We
Hmm.
dressed the world. We put a swagger on the world. What else we did to the world? We invented different things in this country. And we felt proud as a black people, but we was always disrespected. But now here it is, Yah has touched entertainment and these churches. And their dirt is out there for the world to see because he said what has been done in the darkness shall come to the light.
Sure has.
Mm,
It sure has. If you want to talk to the Most High's people, you better make sure that you have all your ducks in order, and
mm,
you have to
mm,
come
mm.
correct. Everybody's a filthy rag. Everybody's a dirty vessel. But it's
Wait a
not where you've been; it's where you're going, and how the Most High
minute.
uses you.
Mm, mm, mm.
You can't say this and then still be in defilement. You can't say, "Oh, I'm preaching this, I'm preaching that." No, no. What you're doing is, I'm telling you, mammon is a powerful thing.
Mm.
Raphon and Molech and Dogon, those are some powerful, powerful Elohims. But don't think that they have the power over the Most High. Absolutely not.
No.
But understand where we're at in this captivity. Understand how this captivity goes. This captivity was never going to be an easy one, nor was it going to ever be fair. This captivity goes for the jugular. It surely
Mm.
does.
Wow.
And when you think that you're getting ahead, that you have your nice cars, your nice house, your nice clothes, everything, But then you made that on sinking sand. Remember, that's sinking sand. Remember, that rug can be pulled up from underneath of you anytime. Because why? Because it's made on the fallacy of this world that is perishing day by day. Isn't that what Paul said?
Off the top, off the top. And we are living in that particular time. We're living in these times. Mm, mm, mm. Off the
And
top.
now look at this. Now look at this. And we're not coming here to say, ha ha, we told you so. I'm not gloating. The only thing I feel bad about is we see all these folks and they've been deceived. So now they have to ask their questions. And the question is, how much deception have they had?
Hmm.
How much have they been deceived? What is the level of deception? That's a big one.
Mr. G said, "Dancing with the devil." I'm gonna go opposite of that. The devil is too busy running and trying to hide. He's seeing what's going on. They not dancing with the devil no more. The devil said, I gotta take shelter."
The devil's
He's
packing
seeing.
up. The devil's
Yes, he's
packing up.
backing up.
He's going to his next kingdom. This is a fire sale. You get what I'm saying? Look. When you moving out the house, what are you doing? He's having a yard sale and he's calling out all the ones that's owed.
Mm.
That's the yard sale. That's the fire sale.
Yeah.
He has to liquidate.
Okay, I can't
Why?
be
He's
dancing
gotta
with you
go
no
somewhere
more.
else.
You know, I can't be dancing no more. I got to take care of business.
These Negroes started to wake up to the fact that they're Israelite. These Israelites, these Negroes started to understand that they're Judah. These Negroes started to know that their mouths have literally shaken the foundations of this earth. Time for me to up and move.
The strength of the voice of Judah did bringing about all of this. Phew, that's strong.
Mm-hmm.
In the world, I mean, it's for them to really try to bring us into this situation of this war, and it seems like Yah's waking his people up, because I mean, all of this, it has to be disrupted. The political atmosphere, the entertainment atmosphere, and the religious atmosphere, all of them had to be disrupted. And this is just a warning shot that Yah is giving out to his people. And whether entertainment, I don't care who they are. You know, you're in entertainment, you in that crowd, this is a warning shot to them just as much as it is for us.
Everybody's retiring now. 2024, everybody said, I'm going to hang it up. There's somebody that recently said that they're going to retire and hang it up. Look, it said, hey, they're about to start pulling a Russell Simmons. They're going to be out in Bali. Try and get me here, non-extradition. He said, I'm going to wait out. I'm going to wait out to see America crash. We said it did another 10 years, 10, 15 years. Oh, my goodness.
Yes, it's been and I mean, sometimes I go through, I don't too much mess with the internet like that. I go through some of this stuff and I see how much we influence the world. As old as pop locking is, I see Spanish people, I see Asian people. They out here doing what we brought about.
Mm-hmm.
They still doing it. Little bitty Asian girls. And then who was it? We was talking about how the Asians they get their hair. I'm gonna say it this way. They get their hair made nappy, where they can have an afro. They're more so to the men, because they love that the cut of a black man when they get their hair done, get it lined up and everything. We laid it out to the world. Now Yah is saying, I need for you to leave this world. He allowed us to do what we do and deal with, he allowed that. Now he's telling us, pack up your things and separate yourself from this wicked and crooked world. I'm telling you, we must really take that into that's something. This is a warning shot, and because trust and believe, TDJ's not gonna be the only one.
No, he's not, and that's where it's gonna be like, look, when this thing happens, there's gonna be so many other ministries that's gonna be going down in flames. It's not gonna be funny. But you had to understand why, because that's the system of control that Babylon had sat over us. So when this system of control goes, that's, to me, that portends this is the end. This is the end. Brother Rojo, shalom. What say you, Brother Rojo? I know that you said that you are a member of the Potter's House. When you said that. You said that you were about to try to be an associate pastor, and you didn't want to go into the back room for a one-on-one baptizing. Is that what I heard you say, Brother Rojo? I'm not trying to speculate or anything.
Look here. You stay out of those back rooms.
Oh my goodness! I don't even want to know what was going on in that mess.
Hey, if you notice, there ain't never no chance in those men's rooms, in those men's groups. I'm just saying. But anyway.
That's what you mean. You need to lay hands on me. I don't know about that one.
Emphasis on the word lay. Yeah.
You know that David was dancing in his underwear? That don't mean I'm going to do the same thing as David. Sorry. I think that you are misinterpreting them scriptures, Pastor. Oh no!
And I mean, and what's with that pole in the middle of your room? I mean, come on! I think with mirrors all around.
Why you got mirrors everywhere, it helps to get closer to God. It helps.
Hey, look, I read that thing you put up there where he said that TDJs called us junk food babies. And this is coming from a man who eats pig knuckles right after service every Sunday. I mean, I haven't seen them, but if you look at them, I guarantee you there's some pork belly, pork butt, pork neck, and everything else pork all about that man. I mean, I've never seen someone like that fit into a suit. I mean, Bruce ain't got nothing on him. Actually, Bruce.
Somebody had someone texted me something earlier. Oh, someone texted me something earlier.
I almost sent you that the boy y'all video.
Which one was that?
Ooh, it was powerful. The Mark of the Beast. She gave. It knocked me off my feet yesterday. I was like, I would just let y'all watch it. I don't want to say anything because I don't want somebody, some Gentile or whoever to come saying, oh, Rojo carries the let Rojo go on his panel and say this and say that, and that's not wrong. Now I'm gonna listen. I want you to listen to me. Here, I'm cocking a candy bar. I'm click clacking it, and then you're gonna hear it pop because of what Karis allowed Rojo to say. Nah, nah, no. I mean, if y'all are interested, it's brand spanking new, right off the press. It's called the Mark of the Beast. That
Yeah, I
thing
seen
goes.
that. I didn't get a chance to look at it. I just glanced through it. I
I'm
mean,
gonna, I'm gonna tell you this. Someone had sent something earlier to me. I'm trying to figure out who had sent it. It was like when I was getting up this morning at like 5 something, and it was showing that the Epstein list had already been leaked.
what?
The people, yeah, the people on the list had already been leaked.
Mm.
I'm trying to find it, and there are some notable names on there that some folks you already kind of knew. Oh, if I could find it, I'll find it. I don't know where that thing went. I was like 5 something in the morning. I said, "Wait a second," and I had to read that thing a couple times.
Well, I'm gonna tell y'all
So,
something that's not so funny. Uh, they just passed a law that IAs, or should I say migrants, I'll just be political, say that they can buy weapons and bypass a background check or the typical screening because they are targeted and they're vulnerable. So they're going to let them afford a means to protect themselves.
the conceal and carry. Yep. So they're allowing the invasion force to get armed.
Yep. Yep. Uh-huh.
Hey, they're the ones that's doing it. All we can say is, all right, well, you did it to yourself. Really,
Mm,
who's
mm, mm.
who? I guess someone's been promised, um, the kingship, right? Right? What do when you start a war and when you want a nation to destroy himself, right? You tell one party that they're supporting you, and then you tell the other party that you're supporting them. So why? So both folks can fight.
But that's
It's
a
a
crazy way
classic
to be.
the,
No,
the
I'm sorry, bro.
classic Machiavellian war. It's a classic Machiavellian war. Well, they're fighting because when we, win and are victorious, we get promised this. Well, they're fighting because when we win, it's a Machiavellian war.
Mm, mm, mm. And, if they get the guns and things, and let's just say this, this civil war thing happens, and people start to get hungry. Oh, what? Matter of fact, let me take that back. Before the Civil War, people going to get hungry before the Civil War that they claim is on the horizon. Where you think they gonna go? They know they. Oh, I know these people. They poor. I know good and well they ain't got no food. But the ones in the suburbs, the ones that have the condos, it's called common sense. They look like they got money. That's all they looking at. So it's like you setting yourself up for the kill. Now you may have some guns too. Oh, you may have some candy bars too.
Michael. Uh,
Uh-huh. But your
sorry.
Skittles. I'm trying to, Rojo. I forgot. But your
So
Skittles. Go ahead, bro.
now all I'm gonna say is the food thing. Y'all might want to kind of slow down on that because up underground in the underground storage facility, they found 14.6 billion pounds of food, edible food. Anyway, go ahead.
Shoot, yeah. Okay. Man, please. They know what they're doing, bro. I mean, like Kara said earlier, they're ditching the dollar and you trying to buy grain. How you go buy grains and food from other countries when your money is not worth anything no more?
Bingo.
You gonna be starving. We, this country is gonna starve off the top. Now, um, A lot of these products, I mean, you remember when the pandemic hit, and I don't think a lot of people understand. 2 years before that, I had a site I needed to do, and there was a Gentile there. He let me in. I went on and did what I needed to do. Straighten the switches out, install a new router, and all that stuff. And he was just kind of concerned, and he's saying this place is going to. He said going to hell in a handbasket. And I was like, well, why are you saying that? He said, do you know this company just sold? I mean, that China just bought that company that he worked for. It was Clorox. And if you think about that pandemic, what was one of the things that was hard to get?
Clorox.
They rose the prices. You had this one Gentile, he knew, and he bought so much of it, but he rose the price. People try to get rich off of disaster. I mean, they get rich off of it.
Yeah, that's the American way.
The American way.
Yeah.
And then
you think that folks are prepping, just to be altruistic and and prepping and things of that nature? No, they're prepping because why? Because when you have a windfall of supply that is no longer available, then guess what? Then people start to pay an arm and a leg. You saw that in the Bible, right? You saw that with Joseph. Actually, you only saw a little bit of it in the Bible with Joseph. When you read Jasher, you see the whole thing. It was, look, these folks were almost eating their children. And they had to go to Pharaoh, and they were asking Pharaoh. They said, we don't have anything to sell. They said that we don't have any property to sell. They said the last thing we have to sell is ourselves.
Don't that sound like slavery to you?
Yeah. They enslaved themselves to do what? So they could have resources. And then at the same time, guess what was going on? They utilized that concept for the children of Israel. See, what people don't understand, they always try to say, well, slavery was started by the Israelites and slavery was started by this and that. And actually, technically, it wasn't. Technically, slavery was not started by the Israelites. Slavery was started by Mizraim or Egypt. It's the spirit of bondage. Because I'd rather be bound up and be protected so I can eat than be free and die and starve.
Israel had paid servants.
Go ahead, Mike.
No. I was just saying, Israel, because there was there was laws that they had to follow according to y'all. They just couldn't mistreat a person, and that person was pretty much not a slave. He was a servant because that person was getting paid for their services. Slavery, you're right. Egypt, boom. No, you can't say that originate with the Israelites. It did not. It did not originate with the Israelites. But now you're looking at the world now. Yeah, you will get hungry. You're gonna sell yourself into slavery in order for you to eat. The same thing they did to us. Did not the scripture say all of these curses are going to go onto the nation? Now you know what our forefathers went through just in slavery. They use our babies as guinea pigs for the alligators. And there's there was one program when this guy was explaining it. He said, white, Gentile. He said, my great grandfather would tie a rope around the child and just let them out there, and they just let them cry. He said when they cry, that's when the alligators come out. But they had they had a rope tied to our forefathers' kids. And so when the alligator come at that, the alligator, they about just swallow whole. So when they do that, they pull that alligator out.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they did to our kids. Now, Yah said, give back to them double as to what they did to his people. I mean, truthfully, I cannot even imagine what that double would look like.
Yeah, that is to me. I can't even fathom it.
I can't.
Fathom it. It's gonna be the worst thing that we could even imagine. Worse than what we can even imagine. We can't imagine it. It's gonna be that horrible. I still think, maybe an extra mouth or an extra, set of arms and legs. I don't know. Will they turn them into, gremlins? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, for all these people in here that want to go soft, it's good. We're compassionate people. Remember that. But let's not go soft now. Remember, we were done wrong. And in the New Testament, because a lot of Christians, and you know who I'm talking about, the alabasters, will say, do away with the Old Testament, throw that away. We're in the New Testament. Well, it's about as New Testament as you get, almost Revelations. That's Thessalonians 1 and 6. For it is a righteous thing by Yah to recompense those that trouble you. See, they don't want to talk about that. And that's the era that we're going to be in with them. Not that crude.
But here's also what they don't understand. It's not judgment never really starts with us. We're not here as the judges. We're not. We're here to do what? To serve our sentence, to do our 400-year bid. It's a generational bid. I mean, people don't like to understand that. It's a 400-year generational bid that we had to do, that our forefathers started in 1619, and now we're getting ready to be paroled. Now that we're awakening, look, we're kind of in a halfway house per se, on the grounds of the prison, right? We're just now awaiting our release from captivity, because the paperwork still has to get over to the judge, and the judge still has to evaluate, if we're fit or not. If do we have a job yet? Do we have something lined up for us to be reintroduced into society? Because if you aren't, if you don't have what you need to have, you still need to go through training. Because why? Because you have to be released, or else you're going to wreak havoc again. And then guess what? You'll be right back into this captivity. But the Most High said we'll never go back into this. So we're
Hallelujah.
getting released in a perfect manner. Now, yes, do we not like the way that we're being released? No, absolutely not. Look, feelings wise, no. We want to be released. We want to go. We want to do this. We want to do that. However, as a people, and I know this firsthand, as our people, we get released out the gate. Oh, we are going to be marauders on folks. And don't say that we aren't.
Yeah.
Because we have so much of Babylon in us. That's why we couldn't get released, in right in 2020. Oh, we're gonna go. I'm like, no, we're not. We are not ready. Now the system is crumbling, because it says what? After those 400 years, that nation whom you serve will I judge. He says, will I judge? So he had to judge the nation himself. This is the ultimate judging, because why? Because in order to judge that particular nation, you actually have to start with the unraveling of that conduit, or that infrastructure that nation has caused worldwide. You get what I'm telling you? You have to start untangling the spider web, right? you ever seen those games where you have to like untangle, the big knot or whatever, and then you have to like go through all the little places and everything else, and then you finally go to the end of the rope after you've done detangled the rope.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's what's happening right now. Everything is being detangled because everything is being made in order so things can be made aware. So when you start to see things unravel and detangle, then you start to see all the craziness that was being held up by this system, by this nation. This is all part of it being judged because there's one piece that's been unraveled. It's two pieces. It used to be, when a piece would be unraveled because it was supported, it would have been like a piece of wood or a branch. But now this unraveling is throwing down, grand pianos. It's throwing down vaults. It's breaking buildings. That's how this unraveling is occurring, right? Because you got to go from the outside where it's not as strong, where there's not as much that's being or being upheld, but the more you go to the core, the more things start to unravel. The more and the more.
Because I always thought about, people that's in, brothers and sisters that are in prison and things of that nature. And I mean, how some of them may have been there unlawfully, but the mental anguish that they may have suffered in prison and things of that nature. You ask yourself, I mean, how will y'all do that? I mean, that just, I would think that's something that that may, and some of them that's in prison for, for what they did, whether it's murder or whatever, they there. But the time when this greater exodus occurs, I mean, I know for a fact y'all go have something in place for that, you know, but it'll be a sight to see and things of that nature. Because I mean, I don't know, how y'all would go about putting that in place. Do they go to a prison in Africa or something and wait, to go before a judge or something? I don't know.
There's a,
But that's
there's a
the
lot of
thing.
there's a lot of space in Africa, and yes, we do have to deal with our brothers and sisters that have been in prison because listen, that's just not captivity. That is the ultimate form of bondage, physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally.
Yeah, and this the only country well, that is blatant with the slavery. The slavery still exists.
Oh
It
yeah,
still
it
exists.
exists via the privatized prison
Yeah,
industry.
exactly.
Industry. Nobody,
Mhm.
nobody. Everybody understands that. Even the whole world understands that. That's why the U.S. was, and I still believe they're not part of the Human Rights Council. They took themselves out in 2017 because
Mm.
why? They had to address the industrial prison complex, the privatized prison industrial complex.
And man, you'll be surprised how many billion-dollar companies are tied into the prison system.
Hmm.
They
Because
get
why? Because it's literally it's just slavery. So so that's that was part of the U.S.'s beef with the rest of the world, and the rest of the world had the same beef with the U.S. Look, that's why China was talking about the Uyghurs after the U.S. made the accusation that or excuse me, yeah, accusation that the Uyghurs were, slaves and things of that nature, human slaves. And China was
Mhm.
like, okay, before you even want to talk about the Uyghurs, we have the Uyghurs here because we're trying to ensure that we can, reprogram their thought process of, radical Islam. You see what I'm saying? Listen, for Russia being a Orthodox nation, they also know that they have Islam with the Chechens.
Mm. Mm-mm.
So you're telling me that these Chechens are fighting with the Russians, and that's an Orthodox nation? Well, that's what the Chinese are saying. It's like, look, this is what we're doing with the Uyghurs. They practice Islam, but we're trying to ensure that they aren't utilizing the terrorist forms of jihad, and have that understanding that, hey, look, we need to work together, and this is how you work together, because we have the same thing with the Chechens on over here.
Mm.
Does anybody remember? It was like 2013, 2014, Dagestan. It was the school in Russia that the jihadists went through, and they killed like over 100 people.
Oh no, I ain't see that. I ain't even know they had that in Russia. Ain't that something?
Y'all don't remember that?
I don't know about that either. Wow.
That was a big deal. That was a big deal. I think it was like 2013 or 14. I know someone in the chat probably remembers this. It was
Hey, man.
Dagestan.
Wait a minute, hold on. Didn't they make a movie about that?
I think they did. I think it's on Prime. I saw that the other day, and I looked past it. I think they did, Mike.
Yeah. But yeah, they went through and they just started killing. I seen it, and
yeah, and the kid
I was like,
folks were hiding outside of because they were showing it. They had all the cameras. Like, folks were just they were trying to run and everything, and they're just getting gunned down as they're trying to run from the school. They're just getting gunned down.
Yep, that was it. I watched that a couple of years ago. I seen that, and then kind of find out they said it was a true story. And
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah. I think I was able to see some of the raw, uncut footage.
I know Rojo was talking about the Old and New Testament, and I think it just gonna come to a time. It needs to come to a time where we take back our book and take those wordings off of our book, because then that's where the division come in. Oh, tell me, I don't. The Old Testament it's outdated. I heard some of my friends talk about, well, some things are outdated in the Bible. We got to stick with the New Testament. That was a Gentile that came in and broke up the Bible. They called it the Old Testament and the New Testament.
Hey,
You
Michael,
never watched it, sir?
No, I was just going to say real quick. Don't people know when they say that the New Testament is merely a witness to the Old Testament? I mean, yeah, there are other stuff in there, but it pretty much backs up the Old Testament. If you don't believe if you don't believe what Moses said, how are you going to believe me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's what it is. And but it brought in Hashatan brought in a division within the scriptures. They come in, Old Testament, New Testament, and so you already eventually your brain starts to detach the two, but it's one book, and that one book belongs to one people. And then they took other books out of the Bible. So this is like our history got to come back together, and we as a nation got to come back together.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. This with the matter of children. Oh, But that's what we got to do. This is
Yeah,
this. You know, I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro.
yeah, because I wanted to come back on to that because I wanted to clarify the point that was being made, that was one of the worst attacks that Russia ever had to deal with, especially with, you know, with the jihadist situation. After that attack, Russia did a soft line policy. And they said, instead of demonizing, everything with this, let's understand, and they literally started to come to a together. They started to come to a consensus.
Mm-hmm.
And people were literally saying that at the start of 2022, when the Russia-Ukraine war started in 2022, and that the Chechens would double cross Russia. I don't know if you all were paying attention to that. Chechens are going to double cross Russia, and this is that, and that, and then the Chechens were like, "Nah, we're Russians." The Chechens were like, "We're Russians. We just practice Islam, but we know where this is going."
Mm.
That's the same thing. They're like, okay, well, China saw that. Okay, well, if we deal with the Uyghurs this way and, explain it, that's what they were trying to do. Now, when the U.S. was trying to talk about human rights violations, the U.S. said, well, wait a sec, or China went to them and said, wait a second, what do you have with black folks? Do you all remember back it was literally 2020, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember all the Asian nations that had, they signed a decree, they signed like a some sort of like a document that like denounced
No, I don't remember
racism?
that. Oh, no, I most definitely don't remember that.
Oh, this was in like 2020, 2021. This was right after the George Floyd thing. This was headed up by China. Yes.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. No.
You remember
No,
that, right?
I do remember that. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Had to get the Rolodex moving, man. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
remember that, right? It was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
all the Asian nations, and they were mad, and the U.S. was infuriated. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, it's going to mess with the TTPI treaty and pact and everything else. That's why they were never able to really sign that pact. That was when the Asians were lost. That was when the Asians, the Pacific Islands, all that stuff, that's when they were lost. Because remember, nothing was ever denounced. Nothing was ever accepted. They wanted the United States to accept, I forgot what they were trying to do, what that petition was for. But the U.S. was like, nope, not doing it. And that was right in the Biden administration, right at the beginning of the Biden administration. And then the Biden administration was like, we need to start sanctioning Russia.
Yeah.
because they were literally just trying to do or start anything that they could to take away from the bad publicity that was happening.
I'm gonna tell you what that really. Oh, I'm sorry, Gary.
No, go ahead, Brother Roger.
I'm gonna tell you where that really came from. Okay, now you remember that was amid them trying to blame us for all of these, and I say in quotes, vicious attacks on Asians. And an event happened that the media here tried to, do their little smoke and mirrors magic stuff But the Russians were like, okay, you're blaming us for everything that concerns uh, black people over there. We're going to go ahead and break everything open for you. And then you remember there was a situation where this Asian woman was almost essayed, you know, or we could say like grapes, but remove the G. And when they caught him, the American media tried to say that they believe the person is African American. But
I remember that. I remember that. Mm-hmm.
when the Russians broke the story, it showed that it was one of their own people, and he
Mm-hmm.
said that he thought that it was that the woman was alabaster. He didn't know that she was one of his own kind. So when the police asked, "Well, why did you do it?" he said because he's sick and tired of all of the anti-Asian violence and hate committed by those that he thought he was trying to get it on with. And that's when the United States got mad and started sanctioning Russia, lowball sanctioning Russia back then, and got mad about that thing not being signed with the AAPI community.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm, mm.
because they actually rejected it. They rejected it, and it was funny because, it was literally, well, we became all of America's troubles at that time. That you can't make this up.
Yeah,
Sure.
you're right.
You can't. You cannot make
We
this up.
hmm
You're
we
all.
became trouble. You
Mm-hmm.
you can't sleep while black. You can't walk down the street while black. You can't drive while black. These are all
Yeah,
the things that black people couldn't do, but we trouble.
We couldn't
yeah.
No,
answer
It was.
about
It was because
they
we
found
were.
trouble.
Yeah, it
Hmm
was because we were exposing their actions were being exposed on the world scene of the treatment of our treatment, how we were being treated.
hmm
They
You
were mad, and that's how they did that. You understand? It was like the blame the victim mentality. Literally blame the victim. Well, we did all this. We did the George Floyd, but now we have this Asian hate crime bill. Because it directs it towards black folks that didn't do anything towards any type of Asians. That was the whole world could see that. The
yeah.
whole world, they started to make themselves look worse and worse and worse in front of the UN. That's why and then the UN couldn't take them seriously. All that lead up in 2021, it was like, you're trying to go. Do you remember how many European nations were like, we don't really want this war. We don't want you to really do that. Do you all remember that? And then it was like, okay, well, Russia crossed the Rubicon, and then it was all right. Well, you forced us into a war. Europe didn't want to get forced into this war. They already knew what was going to happen. And now you understand this is a backlash that Europe is giving the United States. Eight
Mm, mm,
countries.
mm.
I already knew the US and the UK, but you only have eight countries in your quote unquote so called coalition that only gives you one frigate. One frigate and a total of like 40 military personnel that's working at a headquarters level. Do you want to know what that means? That means that these folks are just going to try and milk off the United States. Well, with my military personnel, it costs me about $4 or $5 million a year to maintain them. What? Oh
Mm,
yeah,
mm, mm.
yeah. When you read those crazy um acquisition cross servicing agreements, these AXA agreements, that's what they call them. The numbers are ridiculous.
Mm,
Well,
mm,
I'm
mm.
going to sign this agreement, but it's about $5 million per person, and we're going to give you 10. And then we also have, supply things and special meals, all this other craziness. And you
Wow.
don't know what they do, and you want to know what happens? The U.S. pays for them because why? Because they can say they have a quote unquote coalition of staff officers. that are going to just show up for briefings and then go home for the rest of the day.
Wow, that's
At
crazy.
$5 million a pop. Yep.
Mm, that's crazy.
That's how
I
it
mean,
works.
just listening to you, I started reminiscing about, when this pandemic happened and when our 400-year captivity had ended. It ended in bloodshed. George Floyd, and I mean, that was one of those couple of years had black people angry.
Mm.
The sister that was in her room, in her bedroom, playing video games with her nephew. And we can go down the list. We can go down that list. A brother in his garage, police walk up there and shot him dead. And and we can go on and on and on and on. I don't care what religion you may be in, but if you black, you go feel that.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to feel it. I don't care how much you may think you hate black people, you're going to feel it. And I mean, just to sit back and let that soak in as we go into, y'all willing, go into 2024. It don't look good for this nation.
Mm-hmm.
Off the top,
Look,
it don't look good.
well, Mike, think about what has happened and what's transpired over this last year. A lot of folks don't even understand how big of a deal the Sahel, that Niger, that Mali, and Burkina Faso had all broken its colonial ties
And working together.
and are working
I
together. They don't even
don't
understand
think
how
they
big that
understand the severity. And it's not, it's not a bad word, severity. Of what's about to happen to that particular country who was reaping off of our brothers and sisters. They not having that no more. Those days are gone. I seriously believe this. The brothers in the African Union, Karis, I mean, this is just me now. I seriously believe they already got our escape plan, our exodus plan.
Yeah.
I think they had that plan already done.
I think they do too. I mean, to be honest, I believe they already do. I think they're just giving out glimpses of it, without giving the whole detail. I think they're giving out glimpses. Look, one of those was, hey, we got to tell the international community they owe reparations.
Right. And then when I remember,
will start paying. A lot of those countries will start paying. You're going to realize.
And I seriously believe that the United States will not be the first. It will be some other country that's going to do it first.
No, the U.S. will not. The U.S. will never.
Yeah, you're right. They're not going to pay.
It'll be other countries in Europe and other Asian countries that will pay.
And that'll be good.
They'll pay first, yes.
But I mean, man, this here, what they have laid out and have done to our people. When Yah says double, he means double. They go get double. I can't imagine the double. Just to look at my forefathers hanging from trees, looking at our foremothers being raped and humiliated. I mean, I just can't see. I mean, and it's not that I'm trying to understand. I'm not trying to see it, but at the same time, I'm trying to understand when Yah says double.
Yeah.
That's just something I'm serious. It is that's a mental blockage
Mm-hmm.
for me because whatever they're going to go through is going to be it's going to be tons of more than what our forefathers went through. That's the only thing I can look at. But that's going to be a time of healing for us. Whatever they're going through, we going to be healing at the same time.
Yeah.
We going to be healing. We going to be coming together. And that's what I'm looking at. I mean, y'all willing? This is a what are you talking about, Mike? Go on, get us flag. What are you talking about?
You're getting the kind of loose there, Mike. You're getting kind of loose. You know?
Let me fall back.
Oh boy. Well, listen, some things you just have to tell the truth. You know, they can say whatever they want to say, but they can't call us liars.
Nah.
That's the whole thing. Say what you want to say, but you can't call me a liar. Because we want to make sure. Listen, I know folks have their reservations here, but we're supposed to be a light to the world.
Yeah.
And we're going to be a light while we can be that light. That's it. Because what's going to end up happening? We're going to end up leaving. And when we leave, that's how it's going to go.
And when we leave, if you think the day that Yah gets his people back together and put them back in their land.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, brother M. I'm just going to shout the first initial. He knows what he's talking about. I got the email from you. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna post this in the chat.
What's that?
This is that TikTok list of, who visited the Epstein Island. It's the unofficial one. The official one gets posted in a few days.
You know what? And this is the thing I want us to understand about Gentiles. I don't care how deep they go down that rabbit hole with the devil, they always got a fallback plan. Now here's, and this guy got a list. Hey, you can't hurt me no more. Y'all took me out. I'm deleted. Here's the list. He was looking at that list in order to preserve his life.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it is. And now, whoo, man. I mean, how long is the list? Did you look at the list, Karis?
Yeah. I don't know if that was like the official. Sometimes they'll leak out the official list like a couple of days to kind of like, lessen the impact that, when the official list does get listed, they it's like, oh, I've seen that before. Yeah, I kind of knew that one's on there. I kind of knew that. But I'm not sure if this is going to be the list that's going to cause, because indictments, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's
I mean, from my understanding, that list, it reaches all the way to the UK.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's international.
Yeah. But Karis, this is the thing. Why are they so worried about this list when they advocate the alphabet soup? They advocate this. Why are you advocating this and you want the people to get down this way? You took that stuff and over to Africa.
Because Mike, because the snake is eating itself.
Oh my goodness.
The
Talk
snake
to me,
is eating
brother.
itself. That's
Mm.
how the thing was always going to go. And I want to clarify, some things in the comment. Listen, I said we're to be a light to the nations. That includes even us here in our captivity to the Gentiles. Yeah, that's actually what the word says. You can get mad about it. You can emotionalize about it. I'm
Yeah,
not
but
saying
it is what it is.
Gentiles
Mhm.
get be judged. They're gonna be judged. That's what the scripture says. But until that day comes, listen, we
Mm.
should be the light to keep everybody from out of darkness. We're the light of this world. If you don't like to do it, then just tell the Most High, hey, I don't want to do your word. That's between you and the Most High.
And I take it up to his throne. Don't sit him and think, I got Mike with me. No, you don't have Mike with you. You going by
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah. I know. Listen, that's it. Look, I just tell the Most High, I don't really want to follow your word. That's between you and the Most High.
And the sad thing about it is this, Karis, we was taught that way from Christendom. They knew the judgment that was upon their heads.
Mhm.
They had all right. Let's misinform these people. We're the church. We control what they know and what we can teach them. So now, and for those ones that think that way, you literally have to destroy everything that you was taught from Christendom and realign yourself with the scriptures. Yah said, ask me and I will teach you.
Mhm.
Simple words, simple. Israel, if you want to know, and if you don't read too good, Yah said, ask me and I'm going to teach you.
Yeah.
He will
Yeah.
teach
Look,
you.
and I get it, Mr. Renee. I know that we're a broken people. I know that. I get it. A lot of our people, they deal with a lot of hurt and a lot of trauma.
True.
There's
We
some
just talked about that last night.
there are some folks, listen,
Huh.
I can't if you've been, assaulted by someone, you know that type of assault, we can
Mhm.
put on our thinking caps.
Yeah.
With that type of assault, I'm not saying that, if you still have that drama with that type of assault, you need to go ahead and confront everybody to get them saved. If you can't do it, you just say, Father, I can't do this. I understand I can't do this. But if it's in your will, then you'll will it for someone else to pick up that cross.
And carry your torture state.
While I'm still dealing with this.
We went through some things now.
I'm not saying that, look, folks that are still in the healing process, they're still in the healing process. And I get it. For those folks that can be the light, put your light on out on in there. For those that have a light that's still dimmed, and I get it. Do you not think that the Most High gets it? He absolutely does. That's why I said it's between you and the Most High that He provides that healing. So yeah. So with that said, family, I gotta run. My son is literally making me wrap up because I gotta get going. So,
Yeah.
and I'd already told Mike we got a hard stop at 9:30. So, family, with that, tomorrow will be Q2A discussions. Q2A discussions. That will probably be hosted by Mike. So this will be Mike's first hosting session. You ready, Mike?
You just threw me up under the
What?
bus.
Mike said, "What? Yeah, I see you on the
I
Mike
got you,
said,
brother.
"What
I
did
got you, brother. I got you.
All right, so I'm gonna try to. We'll do something different for the format, and try to go, keep this thing lively. So so we're excited about some things going on. But with that said, family, most high willing, Mike will be on tomorrow. Try not to get Covenant Awakenings and Quest Unite Africa shut down. Hallelujah. So we got
I got to do some. I got to get my tongue. Got to do some sit-ups on my tongue and do some weightlifting on my tongue, and do some mind. Wording. Man. Okay.
all right.
I got you, brother.
All right. Well, family, with that, shalom, salama, siemi, shalom. Peace and blessings, Yasharel.
Tuna wageni watatu, Mheshimiwa Sebastian Kapufi mbunge, ambao ni wadau wa maendeleo kutoka Marekani. Wadau wa maendeleo kutoka Marekani. Karibuni sana.